So, Lawrence, I'm going to read your tweet. I want to make it very clear. This is your tweet. In reference to UST and Luna, you said that retail investors that bought it were warned repeatedly, but they bought into a false messiah. These are some very strong words. You did not hold back one bit.
Not a bit.
What was UST and Luna supposed to save us from for it to be a false messiah?
Look, if you look at how people were approaching UST and Luna, I mean, we had one of the biggest fund managers in crypto, Mike Novogratz. He had a giant Luna tattoo on his arm. I mean, this was this kind of weird cult around this stable coin, an algorithmic stable coin. And a lot of people bought into this idea that this was going to work. The math was going to work. Yet you still had plenty of academics, other fund managers, and critics say this was a flawed model. We saw a model similar to this back a few months ago with iron finance, and that collapsed. It took Mark Cuban's money with it, and in this case, they knew quite some time ago, not quite some time ago, actually just a few months ago, that there was a problem, and supposedly they started buying all this Bitcoin that was supposed to go, at least, to shore up the reserves of UST. In fact, we actually don't know if it was used yet to shore up those reserves. There's still some questions about that. Nonetheless, there was this massive cult around UST, around Luna, and people were on Twitter, bots were on Twitter, pushing constantly this Luna coin, and it shot through the moon until it collapsed.
Okay, so that collapsed. Bitcoin's still around, still below 30,000, but it's still around. If there were any other day, but after this UST Luna collapse, I would say we were burying the lead. But FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried says that Bitcoin has no future as a payments network. That's a pretty big headline there. Do you agree? And if it doesn't have future as a payments network, then what?
I mean, there are some questions as to whether or not Bitcoin can be used as one. I mean, there are other layers that have been created, so to speak, Lightning Network, et cetera, that are trying to solve some of the problems that Bitcoin has. When you step back a bit and you look at what's going on, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is still used primarily for people to either trade amongst themselves and speculate, or as a store of value. And quite frankly, they still haven't used it as a payments method. Ethereum, Ether, that's also very expensive. That's another coin that people spend a lot of money just to transact in. There are some other coins, but eventually, if those networks start to grow even further, the cost of transacting are high. Look, there are still some problems in crypto. We have to be honest. And we have to say it's not exactly the cheapest way to transact just yet, or the most efficient way to transact just yet. There's some benefits to it, but there are also some problems.
Even with that said, a lot of excitement over crypto still in the crypto community, at least. One thing I want to ask you about is the correlation between the NASDAQ 100 and Bitcoin in particular. It seems to be crypto in general. Do you see that continuing, and what does that mean for the future of crypto? Because we continue to see, Friday's obviously an outlier, but we continue to see tech really being hard hit.
So if you think about crypto and you hear about crypto as more and more institutional adoption of crypto and more institutions investing in crypto, what does that mean? They put it on their portfolios, but what happens then when their portfolios have severe problems because of higher rates, because of Fed action, et cetera, and geopolitical risks? All of a sudden, if they start bleeding in tech, if they start bleeding in other stocks, they say, I've got to staunch the bleeding. What do? Start to empty their portfolios or start to sell off a little bit. What do they sell? They'll sell the high risk stuff first. That's crypto. So you're going to see more and more connection as institutions adopt, which a lot of the crypto community was cheering months ago and years ago. Hey, we're going to be adopted by Wall Street. We're going to, they want the ETFs and everything else. That comes with a price, and that is more correlation with the general markets.
Lawrence, we're going to have to leave it there. We appreciate the insight. Lawrence Lewitinn, thanks for being here.